Okay, welcome to More or Less Metal with me, Jack, and Sean over there.
Yep.
And this show is basically going to be not metal, but stuff that either relates to metal or we think metalheads should listen to. So with that in mind, what we're going to talk about this week is punk.
Yeah.
Mainly because when we did the Nwabum episodes, I kind of wanted to put punk on the list, but obviously it doesn't really fit.
Well, punk did influence New Album. I think
Yeah.
that's. I mean, I'd say that's as fitting as ever, honestly. And honestly, punk is probably one of the closest genres to metal.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of metal.
It's up there with grunge. It's right next.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's the
they may not be considered metal, but they're very close.
Yep.
I mean, and obviously punk has had considerable influence on a lot of metal subgenres.
So let's go ahead and get started. We're doing top 10 albums this week.
Yep.
And my 10th best punk album is Damned, Damned, Damned by The Damned.
Fitting name.
Yeah, very repetitive title. One of the early punk bands, and I think they were probably the closest to being a Nwabum band, but actually being a punk band.
I suppose.
Because they kind of had a heavier style and it's heavy riffing and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not saying that they're anywhere. They're not a metal band.
No,
they're just less metal than everybody else, or more metal than everybody else.
I suppose.
Yeah.
I suppose you could say that.
And I this was a last minute ad for me. So did you have time to listen to it?
Yeah, I did listen to it a little bit. I did give it a little bit of a listen. It's an alright album. You know, I think it's pretty much what you'd expect of punk. Honestly, there's nothing really out there about this album.
Yeah.
In my view, personally.
But two of the faster songs on the album are pretty cool. Like Neat Neat, it's got a lot of high energy to it. You can kind of hear the influence on hardcore. They're one of the faster early bands.
Yeah.
And then New Rose, which I always remember because they used it as a theme song for the documentary series 7 Ages of Rock. So you heard that a lot. And I'm a big fan of that series because it kind of goes through 7 different eras of rock. And you get metal episodes a little weak, you know. It's like, oh, Black Sabbath, Metallica, Judas Priest, done. That was exciting. Anyway, what's your number 10?
I put my number 10 is Killing Joke by Killing Joke. I think it's their debut album.
With some post-punk going?
Yeah, post-punk's a very, very interesting genre. It sounds a lot different from other punk genres. You have in Killing Joke somewhat what you had in maybe the early U2 stuff, maybe.
Yeah, U2's post-punk. They don't have the dark thing.
Yeah, I think Killing Joke's more of a darker theme to it.
Yeah.
They were very influential, I know, for a lot of metal bands like Metallica.
Yeah, and then they kind of almost became an industrial metal band later on anyway.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think with Killing Joke, forgetting the name here, you already kind of have that industrial metal feel to it.
Yeah, they kind of have that early industrial vibe. It's not stuff that we still recognize as industrial, but back then that was what industrial was.
That was close. It was very close. It was, I would imagine, very important to the genre. Very developmental.
Yeah, Killing Joke are one of the classic post-punk bands, definitely.
Oh yeah, definitely worth a listen to.
And then, so move on to the next one now?
Yeah, we can move on to number 9.
Alright, so my number 9 is highly debatable. So if anyone's heard of the band Chumbawamba, basically most people would think of them as a one-hit wonder for the song Tub Thumping from the late 90s, but they're actually, I hesitate to call them punk, but they have punk ideals, but they do it in a poppy sort of style. And so the album I picked is their 2004 album UN, and it kind of goes, it's like world music and folk music. It's definitely not sonically punk, but it's usually classified as anarcho-punk, and it's got some interesting songs. Like there's my favorite is a song called "Everything You Know Is Wrong," which goes through a bunch of different conspiracy theories. Talks about fake moon landings, Columbine, stuff like that. No, they're not all conspiracies, but stuff that conspiracies are tied to.
Yeah, that was a very weird album to listen to.
Yeah, it's just an album that my dad had, so I like it.
You like it because your dad has it.
Yeah, and I feel like it should be mentioned somewhere, and I don't know where else it would be mentioned, so here it is.
Well, I guess it is still punk, so
yeah,
you can't. I mean, it is still punk. I was just saying that why I gave it a listen. It sounded a lot different from some of the other stuff I've listened to.
Oh yeah,
at least in the punk genre.
Definitely out there.
Most certainly, I have to agree with that. I guess we'll go on to my number 9. I put "Out of Step" by Minor Threat, pretty much their only album. Yeah, well, I don't know what you think of the album, but I thought it was a pretty good album. Maybe not as good as their debut, but
I don't remember hearing anything unique. It's just good hardcore.
Yeah, it's just kind of. I know they're. I'm sorry, I was talking about their debut. Their EP, their first EP, has a lot of hits on it. This album doesn't quite have the same kind of hits that you got on that original. It's just kind of straightforward hardcore punk.
Yeah. Well, I always think of Minor Threat for this song "Straight Edge," which I always thought was pretty funny. It's only 45 seconds long, but it's just like we don't need time. We don't have time for drugs. We got better things to do.
They're pretty famous for their for one of their songs, "Guilty of Being White." They're pretty famous for that one.
Yeah.
I think Slayer covered that song actually, and they got controversy over it.
No.
But yeah, it was they have some interesting songs in their work. And Out of Step continues that, but maybe I would also maybe check out their first EP. But I think Out of Step's a good album.
Yeah, if hardcore
in general,
if hardcore had a big four, like
Minor Threat would be one of them.
No, I feel like Minor Threat would be like Testament.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I suppose Minor Threat's just kind of out there, and they have like one album, and that's really it. I mean, as good as they are, I mean, and like you said, nothing from the album really stands out. It's just all kind of condensed.
So
album, just to be a good album.
Ready for number 8?
Yeah, we can go to number 8.
So my number 8 is a little bit of an interesting one because it's actually a compilation album. It's Joy Division's Substance album, which I only include here because there's only one song that actually appears on an album. The rest of it is made up of all the various EPs, splits, singles, all the stuff they've done. And most of their good songs were those singles and EPs and stuff. And it's post-punk, definitely. And also it's got some early electronic stuff going on. But it's got a lot of cool stuff, like the song Transmission is probably the most punky. It's got a lot of speed, bit of oomph to it. But then it's also got their hit song Love Tear Us Apart.
Yeah.
Guaranteed to make you feel really depressed. And then there's Atmosphere, which will make you even more depressed because it's like the darkest ballad you've ever heard.
What are we listening to? Depressive black metal?
Yeah.
It's almost like we're back in those. Well, depressive black metal is after this.
Oh yeah, much farther back.
Maybe they took influence from these guys.
Yeah, I think they were influenced. A lot of the darker metal bands were sort of bands that took goth influence, or they listened to a lot of Joy Division when they were.
And then they went and cut themselves.
Yeah.
They went across the road on their arm.
It also has.
I'm so edgy. My life is so terrible.
Well, my only problem with Joy Division is the people who wear Unknown Pleasure t-shirts and don't listen to Joy Division. It's like, if you're gonna wear a shirt, you have to listen to the band. Like, you can't expect people to not ask you about the band shirt, you know?
That's literally like the same situation with like Misfits and
Misfits
every other like AC/DC and stuff, where people listen to them. Maybe if you're lucky, they've listened to a few songs.
Yeah, I mean, if it's AC/DC, they've listened to Back in Black, Highway to Hell, and probably. But just those three, they haven't listened.
But Misfits to me is an even better example. Almost like no one who wears the shirts actually listens to the band.
Oh no. Yeah, just wear it because it's like, oh, cool, it's a skull, man. Check it out.
It's a skull, it's cool. Yeah. Oh, what? Mayhem's a band? I didn't know that. That's like every conversation with that.
You're
But
like, oh, I didn't even know it was a band.
yeah, it's annoying. That's with every genre though.
All right.
We'll move on to my
What's your
number 8. I put Songs of Praise by the Addicts. Very, very popular band, I think, in punk. They're pretty popular, I think, in the punk realm. They're very classic
I've
punk.
never heard of them, but
Really?
No.
I'm surprised you haven't heard
I
of
enjoyed
them.
the album though.
Yeah, it was a surprising album. I don't feel like there's a lot to say about it though.
Yes.
I'd probably compare what I said about Minor Threat to the Addicts, except that the one thing I will say, they're not a one-hit wonder. They've had lots of albums.
Yeah.
And what I meant by comparing it to Minor Threat was that there wasn't a whole lot that like stood out particularly in this album, but what I wanted to say was I thought the album was very consistent. It had consistent quality, I'd say, from bottom to top.
Oh, actually, so I made some notes here. Some songs I like. There's the England song called England. Is
Oh,
an
really?
interesting one. Viva la Revolution's pretty good. And
Yeah, I think they're pretty much all good
I
songs.
think Numbers.
Yeah.
Some of the songs you can just sing along to them, you know.
Yeah,
That-
I
that's sort of-
suppose.
that's sort of
Maybe
fun.
you could argue that, but I thought the whole album was pretty easy to listen to
Yeah.
compared to maybe some of the other albums.
Like
Maybe
the
I have
next
on this
one we're
list.
about to talk about.
Oh boy.
So, my number 7 is, I think it's the most modern album on the list. I'm not sure about
Probably. It's much more modern than anything I have.
that. Is, oh, actually, no, Chumbawamba would be the newest, but yeah. It's Delete Yourself by Atari Teenage Riot.
Oh.
And if you haven't heard Atari Teenage Riot, they kind of combine that 90s drum and bass, and I mean, like, it's literally just, like, a super fast drum machine. So they just have that behind all their songs, and then they have some, like, screeching guitars and punk vocals.
I should probably mention, do not go into that album expecting like punk, and I mean expect punk, but don't expect it to be like the other albums on this list.
It's a digitized, it's digital hardcore. It's a
Yeah,
digitized version.
I think when I listened to this album, I was not expecting what I got, and I probably should have been expecting it with a name like Atari
Yeah.
Teenage Riot. I probably should have been expecting it, but I didn't.
But yeah, and I got into this band interestingly because Slayer did a song with them. So, and I bought a big Slayer, like best of thing, like with a bunch of rarities and stuff in it. And there was one song that didn't fit, and I'm like, is this supposed to be here? This doesn't. This is not.
This does not
Slayer.
say unlike Slayer.
It's like, what? And it just doesn't fit, you know?
And you found out about this band.
Yeah, but now I know about Atari Teenage Riot, so
I suppose. I'll be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of this album. Maybe because I wasn't into the joke, I guess.
what?
I don't know if... I'm not sure if this album's supposed to be a joke or it's supposed to be serious. I'm not going to lie.
I think they're trying to combine hardcore EDM with hardcore punk.
Maybe. Maybe I'm just not a huge fan of hardcore EDM. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't think it was terrible. It probably just wasn't for me.
I just like the dumbass drum and bass from the late '90s. It just, it's like, okay, that's hilarious. Let's go.
I suppose.
It's probably the same reason that I'll listen to Saint Anger and you won't.
I suppose just to have a joke, kind of.
Yeah. So you're number 7?
So I put Songs the Lord Taught Us by the Cramps, and they're very similar to what I said about the Addicts. The Cramps are a pretty popular band as well.
Hey, the Cramps are great.
I'm sorry?
The Cramps are great.
Oh yeah, the Cramps are really good. This album was their debut album, and I thought it was really good.
Yeah, they're the definitely the premier psychobilly band.
Yes,
It's got that old.
for sure.
It's sort of punk, but it's sort of southern. It's sort of like cowboy punk.
Yeah, you ain't no punk, you punk. That's the Garbage Man in the second song of the album.
Yeah.
I think that was also on a compilation.
And you can hear a lot of the riffs they use is like stuff that you would have heard in the 50s.
Yes,
They're definitely a very retro band.
they are. Unfortunately, I think the lead singer died in 2007.
Oh,
I
really?
think. Yeah, it was very unfortunate.
And I think the song I know from them is the song Human Fly.
Yeah.
I'm a human fly and I go bzz, 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 something like that.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Very good, very good. I don't know if would you call them classic punk?
I'd call them psychobilly.
maybe
I don't think they fit in
psychobilly.
normal punk.
Maybe.
They're definitely a more unique style.
I think their sound is a little bit different than the Addicts. Maybe I would maybe agree with that.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
So my number 6, which is just a band that I found. I think I searched a song name and they had a song that had the same name, so somehow I listened to it. And it's the album is Shock Troops by Cock Sparrer. Doesn't really roll off the tongue, but that's what they're called.
Cock Sparrer.
Yeah. And the album is, I think this is one of the core Oi bands, which is kind of like the second wave of British punk. Like,
I think so.
It started after hardcore had already begun and all that stuff was going on.
I think that's right.
They went back to the traditional style, and that was all, you had to be lower class, you had to be working class, and all that stuff. And this album has a lot of great songs that you can sing along to.
Well, I think it's worth mentioning that punk is kind of aimed at that lower class. It's not really, it's obvious not. It's aimed to fight the establishment.
Yeah.
To fight the powers that be. It's kind of a music of rebellion.
Yeah. But this album, you can definitely hear them. They talk about, the problems of the 80s, especially the UK, because the 80s sucked in the UK.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Minor strikes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The whole car industry just imploding. It was.
Well, the 80s were a very bad time, not just for England. They're probably for the whole world, really. With the Red Scare and stuff.
I feel like it was probably a little more fun in America than it was in the UK.
I suppose. Well, I don't know. I wasn't around during the 80s, so I can't.
Unless you like metal and punk, in which case the early 80s was lots of fun in the UK.
I suppose, yeah. I think people probably enjoyed some of that rebellious music during that time. I think it's part of the reason why it gained in popularity, But,
so your number, what is it, 7?
No, it's 6. We're talking about 6. I put Stations of the Crass by Crass, and they are a.
I don't know.
What was?
I think they're anarcho-punk, but I'm not certain.
No, I don't. Man, I cannot believe I forgot that.
Anarcho-punk or Oi, somewhere in those lines.
It's not Oi. I know that.
Hold up. Now it says anarcho-punk and art punk.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm dumb. I am dumb. I can't believe I messed that up. I am really dumb.
And the album also says hardcore, but that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, it's not really a hardcore album. Yeah, I agree. That's kind of a stretch. Yeah, it's definitely not a hardcore album. I would disagree with Wikipedia on that one.
Although I would agree with the artsy part of it. They are definitely an artsy band.
They are certainly. Yeah, they've had some odd songs on that, like Demon Crat. I love that song. It just sounds funny. And Go Away Harry, or I think I'm getting the song right.
Yeah.
They have some really weird songs.
To be honest, I didn't enjoy this album too much. I thought it was a bit weird.
Oh really? I enjoyed it. It had an interesting drum structure, I think. I don't know. I enjoyed a lot of the songs on it. I thought it had some silly songs on it, but I don't know. I enjoyed it, I suppose.
Alright, so number 5?
But, yeah, we can go on to your number 5.
Alright, my number 5 is the first, the Denver Classic Band. This is first of the obvious bands, I guess. It's the first Clash album. And I feel like the Clash, they kind of get kind of a bad rap because they tried a lot of different things later in their career. Not that they weren't trying new things on their first album, but the first album is definitely more straight up punk. It's got a lot of great songs like I'm So Bored with the USA. I'm not really sure what they're on about, but it's a great lyric. I'm so bored with the USA. Very entertaining. And of course it's got White Riot, which is always fun to listen to. It's basically like it's like all the blacks were rioting, but white people didn't do shit. What else we got? And then one of my favorite reggae songs ever, Police and Thieves. Not what you expect from punk, but I don't know. Reggae and punk somehow ended up going hand in hand. You never
You wouldn't
understood
expect
why.
that.
They
Yeah,
were
I
like
agree.
complete opposites, but
Yeah, you wouldn't expect that. Yeah, reggae's kind of more of a calm genre, and
Yeah.
punk's more of a in-your-face genre.
but the Clash plays reggae, and then you got the whole Bad Brains thing.
Right.
Here's a hardcore song. Here's a reggae song. Hardcore reggae. Hardcore reggae.
They mix it up a little bit.
And I definitely appreciate Bad Brains for being two completely different bands.
That's right.
It's a pretty cool idea, and I guess you kind of get some breathing room in the hardcore album. You can kind of relax for a second and prepare yourself for the next hardcore song.
That's right. That's right.
I'm guessing they enjoy doing that live because they can take a break for a second,
Probably.
play a nice slow song.
Probably.
So what's your number 5 then?
I put for number 5, I'm Stranded by the Saints. They are probably a lesser known band compared to the
Are
other.
they the ones who are Australian?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I included them because I thought we'd include something from Australia. You know.
Yeah, gotta have some Australians somewhere, right?
Yeah. We're not even Australian. We're talking about including Australians, but
Australians would make good music.
that's true. And I agree. The Saints make good music. Again, with Saints, I don't think there was anything in particular that stood out to me, in my opinion, about this album. It's
I think
just consistent.
The thing with the Saints is because they were kind of isolated being in Australia. That's kind of why they're not popular.
I think so. Well,
They did
AC/DC was from Australia.
But
so-
AC/DC is a lot more mainstream. Like,
Well, yeah, but they started from the bottom first.
yeah,
It's just, I think it's just how formula goes, you know. Fame just doesn't come to everybody.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
kind of luck.
to
you
be
know?
honest, AC/DC are a lot better than the Saints. But
Yeah, I suppose. I suppose maybe you could argue they earned it more.
yeah,
Regardless, I think the Saints kind of bring the classic punk sound.
yeah, they're definitely
You know.
the premier Australian classic punk band.
Right. Well, they're one of the only ones.
Yeah, and if they were British, they probably would be one of the classic ones.
Maybe. And I still think they are kind of a classic, just not anywhere near as known as some of the other
Yeah.
ones. But I guess we can move on to number 4.
Yes. So my number 4 is Damaged by Black Flag, because there has to be a Black Flag album on here. Otherwise, we may as well just go home, right?
Right.
It's Black Flag, has to be. And they're definitely my favorite hardcore band. And they're they're definitely the most classic hardcore band.
I suppose. They're not necessarily my favorite, but I do think Damage is a very important album.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many great songs in this album. I mean, Rise Above, Six Pack, TV Party, Gimme Gimme Gimme.
Yeah, they have a lot of the punk songs. I do like Damage, but I'll be honest, I kind of like some of the other stuff I have on my list more probably than Damage, but I do think it is an important album, and it deserves a mention.
Yeah. Your number 4?
I put Troops of Tomorrow by The Exploited. The Exploited are very, compared to other punk bands, I'd say they're probably a little more in your face.
Yeah,
They're Oya, and then they're kind of hard. They're also hardcore punk.
Yeah, they're kind of
street punk.
oi moving towards hardcore.
Right. That's right. Good point there. I think.
Sorry.
I'm
go.
sorry. I was gonna say. I think the one song people were, like, when you listen to this, you're probably gonna remember that off this is "Fuck the USA."
Yeah, love that song.
That's
hilarious.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's kind of like the escalation of I'm so bored with the USA with a Clash. It's just
Yeah.
sort of the next level, right?
The next level. You're bored with the USA. Now you fucking hate the USA.
Yeah. But I looked up the lyrics to it, but they didn't seem to match up with the song, and I was super confused. But the lyrics I looked up were pretty interesting. It talks about the fact that we don't have healthcare in the UK or in the US. Sorry. Although it also mentioned that what rich people take everything, don't give anything to the poor. But it's like that happens everywhere. Come on.
It's
not exactly
specific to the U.S., but
I mean, we do have that problem here, but so does
we
the
have
UK. So.
we have I mean, the healthcare thing is obviously
Oh, yeah.
a correct one. We've
that
been
one's right.
fighting for healthcare for a long time.
We got a lot of
We've continued to have a shit system, but
yeah.
Not getting too far into politics.
Yeah, we don't want to get into that.
But well, even when we're going into punk, yeah, I'd say this is very. I mean, all punk's very political, but this one I'd say it kind of exacerbates that.
Yeah.
Very, very political. Definitely fuck the USA. Just casually saying it.
It's a great song.
It's like, yeah, I'm not saying fuck the USA. I'm saying
the title of the song.
Well, title.
Actually, in the album, it is actually just called USA, but
that's right.
Sometimes it's titled the other way.
That's right. Well, I guess they probably had to censor it probably a little bit.
Yeah. So number 3. And my number 3 is entertaining because it's only 10 minutes long.
But yeah, it's an EP,
yeah,
not really an album.
Spiral Scratch by Buzzcocks, or Buzzcocks, I'm not sure. No, there's no the, it's just Buzzcocks.
Buzzcocks.
But yes, it's only 10 minutes long, but it has 4 truly great punk songs on it. I mean, you got Breakdown, 2 minutes long. Punk length right there. Time's Up, and Boredom, which Boredom's the one I really want to talk about because it has a thing. It's like it's an anti-guitar solo where he just literally just plays 2 notes over and over again. It's just instead of, and it's like placed like a guitar solo. There's nothing else there. You know, it builds up to it, and then he just does 2 notes over and over again.
It's just 2 notes. It's like it's like an anticlimactic guitar solo. You expect something huge, and then it's like just crashes down.
Yeah, and I didn't pick a Buzzcocks album because, well, I like Boredom, and I like all 4 songs on the album, so I figured may as well do that.
If Wikipedia talks about this EP and talks about one of the songs off it, you know it's an important EP.
Yeah, okay, so the whole paragraph on Boredom.
Yeah, so you know, either someone specifically came on there just because they love the song, or it's an important album, or it's an important EP.
Yeah.
It's one of the 2.
Because they're one of the first bands who actually put out an EP by themselves.
That's right.
And obviously Buzzcocks did go on to write some other good songs, and they got their hit single with Ever Fallen in Love with Someone You Shouldn't Have. I think kind of some of the punks weren't too happy about that, but hey, it's a good song. Stop whining. So, you're number 3?
I put Hear Nothing, See Nothing, Say Nothing by Discharge. Discharge, by far, are one of the most important hardcore punk bands.
Yeah, they are.
At least when you talk about metal.
They are the definition of hardcore.
Yes, they are. And
like,
they are
just in the dictionary. Hardcore. Discharge.
There you go. And with Discharge, you get influence on a wide variety of thrash metal artists. In fact, they pretty much influenced almost every thrash metal artist because they were very, very big. You got Metallica covers like "Free Speech for the Dumb." You had "Protest and Survive," which are both very important songs on this album. Which pretty much this whole album is very, very hardcore punk. I think compared to even some of the other hardcore.
Chris, my thing with thrash is, with the exception of, I guess the big 4, I'd rather listen to Discharge than Testament. I think they're that good.
Maybe. Well, Testament's had a very.
Sean's the thrash guy, so he's not gonna agree with me, but
obviously not. Yeah, I'm definitely huge into thrash metal, but I love Discharge, and I would listen to Discharge a lot.
Yeah.
Because I love Discharge. They're probably one of my favorite hardcore. I mean, there's a reason I put their album in 3rd.
Yeah.
You know, they get the bronze medal on my list because they're very good. Unfortunately, after this, they kind of released a shit album. But I think they even that does happen. But I think they even after this, they kind of went into crossover thrash, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, and I found listening to so much hardcore in a small span of time that you kind of get very hyper, don't you? It's like taking speed. You just want to go. Everything needs to be fast. And I found the perfect activity for listening to hardcore. I've been playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and there's like a fight club, so Definitely the hardcore has helped me win the top.
Makes you more aggressive. Just want to punch them right through the face.
Everything.
I'm sure that's got to help during fights.
And I finished the hardest one today. I was very happy.
Man, see, Punk. That's why you should listen to Punk more.
You'll beat your video games.
You'll beat video games somehow. Somehow it'll power you through your video games.
So we're at number 2, I think.
Yes, sir.
And if you watch the Wallum episode, I already talked about this band because it's the first Ramones album because, well, it just has to be in there because I love the Ramones.
Because Jack's just an unoriginal.
Because the Ramones,
piece of shit.
The Ramones are good, man.
I can't hate on you for this one. This is actually good.
I mean, my thing, this album always has to be on here because pretty much every song is a classic on this album.
Right.
Well, there are some annoying ones like Chainsaw, which always drives me crazy because it's got a chainsaw sound effect at the beginning. So it's just like, it's like, oh.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Don't, no chainsaw.
Stop. Don't. That doesn't annoy me anywhere near as much as like intros that go on for way too long.
Oh yeah, well it's the Ramones. I mean,
thankfully that's the one nice thing I'm gonna say about Punk. The songs are short.
Yeah, there's no messing about. You get.
I mean, yeah, I give him a hand clap for that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely, in my opinion, better than, let's say, some Metallica songs where they just go on and on and on. Yeah. Not everything, they obviously.
Yeah, I think they were a bit guilty of that in the new album, weren't they?
Probably. Some of the songs just go on way too long. Well, that's the nice thing about Punk. They don't.
That's just a problem in general music these days. People want to make an hour-long album. It's like, we just have half-hour albums again. Like,
well, I don't mind an hour album, but don't make like 8-10-minute songs. Like, just stop. I don't want to listen to the same riff 8 to 10 minutes.
And don't put lots of filler shit in it. Like,
yeah, I know. I agree with that too.
If you've only got half an hour of material, release half an hour of material. Yeah.
That's right. Don't do this BS, man. Where you just put filler songs in.
It's the music equivalent of shovelware, right?
I agree. Yeah, it's just
shoveling it in.
Pretty much. I mean, I think the way I'd compare it with a game is where you just include mechanics just to pad out the game or something of the like, or you add in stuff just so you can pad out the length. You know, you make something arbitrary. It's just like, just stop it. Just stop. Make actual content, or don't do it. Yeah. Same thing applies to these bands. But that's what I want to say was a real nice thing about Punk and the Ramones, obviously.
Ramones?
Well, Ramones and Punk.
Ramones. Why are you calling them Ramones?
Because I have weird spelling pronunciation.
Okay. You're number 2.
Don't make fun of me, Jack. I have speech problems.
Alright.
Leave me alone.
Number 2.
Okay, we'll go to my number 2, even with my speech problems. I put for number 2 I put "Living in Darkness" by Agent Orange, which I think is an amazing album.
Yeah.
Very good blend of surf music or surf rock with hardcore.
Sorry, I'm just noticing the difference between the CD version that I listened to and the original LP version.
Oh yeah, they're a little bit different. Yeah, I think they did like a remastering or something.
Yeah.
They added in like a few songs like "I'm So Bored of You," but I don't think that song's that good.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think that song it was included in GTA 5, but I'm like, why would you include that song?
That's the song.
I'm so bored of you. I know.
It's so good.
I know. I agree. I don't know why "I'm So Bored of You" is included. That song fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Compared to their other stuff.
Because "Bloodstains" is near the end on the original version, but on the CD version, it's the first song. And it just.
Oh, yeah.
They just kicks into gear, and you're like, well, this is good.
Yeah. And I think the rest of the album goes like that too.
And honestly, listening to them, I kind of feel like they're good enough to be a speed metal band. They just choose to play punk instead.
Yeah, I think I get the vibe you're saying. I kind of get the vibe too that you're going with.
It's like it's still punk because you can tell by the simplistic drums and stuff like that.
But I feel like if they wanted to, they could go into like speed thrash metal if they wanted to.
Yeah.
I feel like they could
because they're good at what they do.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I think this album is like a testament to how good punk can be, you know, or especially hardcore, you know. I think this album's really good. Very, very good album. I think there are a lot of standout tracks in my opinion. Bloodstain, obviously, talked about. I like Living in Darkness too,
Yeah.
and I like Everything Turns to Gray. Very kind of depressing album actually.
Yeah. And
if
the,
you look
the,
at some
Miser-
of the
the
songs.
Miserlou cover is pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Which is, I think it's an old Dick Dale song.
Yeah.
And I feel like Dick Dale he's a very underrated artist.
But yeah, the one thing I will say about the version that you're saying has Bloodstains at the beginning, the newer one. I love the Pipeline cover.
Yeah, I don't think I heard that.
Oh, really? It's a good cover. It's a very good cover. I'd check that out if you have the chance.
Oh, it's from the Bitchin' Summer EP, apparently.
Right. It's a pretty good cover. I'd check it out if you ever have a chance.
I know
But
I'm going to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very good cover. I think they did pretty good covers, but yeah, I think I would have much rather like anything from this, like the original album of this, into GTA 5 than honestly I'm So Bored of You. Yeah, that would have honestly fit GTA 5 more. I feel like.
The thing is that station was actually pretty good. There was a lot of good songs on there, like Amoeba.
Yeah.
And
they had the
Pervert.
Suicidal Tendencies song wasn't that great, but
isn't it?
I don't think so.
I love the song Pervert. I'm
Yeah.
pervert.
I'm perverted. What was another? There was another good song on there. That was Black Flag. I did like that song.
Which Black Flag was it?
It was My War. I actually kind of liked that. There were some fans that didn't like
Yeah.
that song, but I kind of liked it.
And isn't I think the announcer is the old singer from Black Flag. So.
Maybe.
But not the singer on My War.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
I guess it's a bit like Lost in the Dam, where they had Max Cavalera doing the thing.
Yeah,
And
they had Sepultura. But when they did that, they actually had Max Cavalera era in there.
Oh yeah.
But I guess they couldn't.
It was Dead Embryonic Cell, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good song.
Enough GTA though.
Yeah.
I think it's time for the honorable mentions, isn't it?
Yeah, we can go on to your honorable mentions.
And
just
since
list
this
one.
was a punk thing, I put some singles on here. And they're also they are singles that were not released on albums. So, and the first one is "Going Underground" by The Jam, which I'm not sure how to describe The Jam. They're kind of like more of a mod revival band. Like they're sort of the successor to The Who or The Kinks. They've got that sort of British vibe, but they kind of fit it. They're kind of still simplistic and they fit into the punk thing. Although I think they all wore suits.
Right.
The other punks are kind of like, okay, that's a little weird. And definitely their songs probably fall more into pop than punk, but
Maybe.
Going Underground's a fun song. What else we got? Oh, the second one is Gangsters by The Specials. And this is another interesting one, because The Specials were one of the bands, along with Madness, who kind of pioneered the two-tone genre, which was sort of a mix between reggae and punk, and not like the Bad Brain style of having them separate. They were actually kind of merged together, and it's a really interesting style. I don't know how punk it is, but it's definitely fun to listen to. And then there is actually an album in my honorable mentions, Boy by U2. Probably weren't expecting to hear U2 on this list, but
Yeah, we were talking earlier about Killing Joke early U2. This is kind of the album we were kind of referring to.
yeah.
Although Killing Joke sounds a lot darker and heavier than this album does.
But yeah, because U2 basically started out as a post-punk band.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still like a poppy mainstream band.
Yeah. Well, post-punk isn't really poppy though. Not really.
Yeah, but I mean, the sound.
This album does kind of have that sound, but post-punk in general, I don't think
feel
has
like
that sound.
There's kind of two sides to post-punk. There's a dark side of post-punk, and then there's sort of a
Lighter side.
a more commercial version of post-punk.
Yeah, I guess you could say that.
I mean, all it really has to be is it has to be sort of punk that's moved on.
I suppose that's kind of a weird definition of a genre, but regardless of our definition, I guess that is post-punk.
And I think the thing with this is it's sort of like a lot of the new wave bands started out as punk. Like if you listen to some of the Police's early stuff, they used to be a punk band, and then they turned into whatever they are now. I'm not saying they're bad, but I don't know what they are. So what were your honorable mentions?
So for my honorable mentions, I put "The More I See," which is a single by Discharge, which that song was also covered by Metallica. That song wasn't on any
Yeah.
album that they did, but I thought it was worthy of belonging here because I love that song.
Yeah.
It's probably one of my favorite Discharge songs.
I've never been a fan
Yes.
of most of the covers Metallica have done.
You mean on like on Garage Incorporated?
Yeah, I never really felt like they improved them or anything. They just sort of
I
took
suppose.
them and
Well, they did change a few of them, well, I'll mention it later, but they did do some changes. I think this one they didn't really change anything. I don't know. I'll be honest. I kind of have some love for it, I guess, in my heart, just because it is kind of nice hearing a metal version of some of these songs, just to see how it sounds different.
yeah.
It's interesting, and I think the way it was done, I thought was all right. Yeah, they didn't really make a whole lot of changes, so it isn't really all that original. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of had some enjoyment out of Garage Incorporated, being that is. But of course, I like going and listening back to the bands they covered. But it is
Yeah.
sometimes interesting hearing them and hearing how they cover it.
Yeah.
But going on to my second one, I put "Die Die My Darling," which is a single by Misfits, obviously.
And also covered by Metallica.
Yeah, it was also covered by Metallica. That was what I was gonna say. They did make some changes to "Die Die My Darling," where it was a little bit different. That being said, I kind of like the original a little bit more, but I do like Metallica's version. Just I kind of like the original more. But very good song, very good single. I think there are two other songs off the single, but obviously "Die Die My Darling" is the biggest one.
Yeah.
I think it was a pretty big song by the Misfits. Very good song. I didn't put this on my list, but I feel like I have to mention it. I think TSOL's first EP, which is just TSOL, I think that's worthy of being in my honorable mentions. It's just an EP, so I wouldn't have put it in my list, but there's a lot of really good songs in that, like "Superficial Love" and "Abolish Government," which were both covered by Slayer and "Undisputed Attitude,"
Yeah.
which I thought that was a pretty good album. But I didn't include it. I didn't actually write it down, but I thought I might as well mention it because
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty good
I feel
EP.
like EPs are a lot more important in punk than they are in metal.
I agree.
Because generally I can't think of many metal bands that released like actually a significant EP. A lot of them released.
Hellhammer.
Yeah.
Hellhammer's
Wait.
EP "Satanic Rites" was very influential on like Mayhem and other black metal bands. Before, of course, they turned into Celtic Frost
I guess my problem with EPs is a
or
lot of
Celtic Frost.
I don't like EPs
Gotcha.
that reuse tracks.
I
Like, oh,
suppose.
here's one new song, 2 songs from the album, and 2 live tracks. So, well, could we just have?
What's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
why
agree.
can't you
What's
just
the
put that
point?
song on the album or something, Or just release it as a single.
I don't know.
Don't try and get extra money for a whole EP.
I guess.
So I guess
Yeah,
we're
I
at the
don't know.
big one now, number 1.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I guess we can go
Yeah.
your number 1.
No prizes for guessing what it is, because it's Nevermind the Bollocks, which has to be on here. Because
Of course.
it, again, like the Ramones, has nothing but great tracks. And there is no bad track on Nevermind. It is perfect, I guess. And it is really a shame that we never got more Sex Pistols. No, I don't want the Nirvana album.
You know why I hate listening to Nirvana, Jack?
No. This is punk, not grunge. Okay, now I can see it. Yeah, and it's got lots of great songs. I mean, you got Holiday in the Sun, got God Save the Queen, Anarchy in the UK.
Yeah, Anarchy in the UK was a pretty big one.
Oh yeah, and God Save the Queen and Anarchy in the UK covered a lot, didn't they?
Yeah, I think so.
I think
That's right.
Motorhead's done God Save the Queen. Megadeth's done Anarchy. Well, I think they did Anarchy in the USA instead. Switched up a little bit.
That sounds like something Megadeth would do.
Although actually, I think the Motley Crue version is even more different. They actually changed because at the end of the song there's 3 organizations. I think something UDA, and the last one is IRA. But the Motley Crue changed it to, I think, PMRC, something else, and CIA, just so it sort of fits in with the American thing. Because like Megadeth did Anarchy in the UK or Anarchy in the USA, and then they left the IRA line in there.
Right.
It's like, well, we don't have an IRA problem here. There's no the Irish who live here are all happy to live here. They don't want to conquer it or anything.
I don't know, Jack. Us Irish people here, we're getting ready to take over, Jack.
Yeah.
We're secretly planning our own Republican army behind the shadows. We're gonna stop you other oppressors, European oppressors.
Okay. Are you on your number one ready now?
Yeah, we'll move on to my number one. So if you've kind of been following my list, you'll probably notice that I put a lot of hardcore. And for my number one, I had to put the kings of hardcore, in my view. Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables by the Dead Kennedys, which I thought was a really good album. I don't know what Jack thinks over there, but I love this album. It has some really good. It has like some standout tracks like Kill the Poor, Holiday in Cambodia.
Kill the Poor.
There we go.
I felt listening to it. I feel like the Dead Kennedys they're always being ironic.
Kind of.
Like they're always kind of making fun of society.
They are. I mean, there are some other standout tracks like I Kill Children. Really.
I mean, they're not serious.
Yeah. They're not being serious. They're
talking about things that happen in the real world.
Yeah, kind of. And
maybe
that, and they have like Viva Las Vegas, which I think Viva Las Vegas was pretty. Yeah.
And I actually just noticed that because the Cramps did Fever.
That's right.
Elvis cover.
Yeah.
Also this album, we got California Uber Alice.
Yeah.
Always entertaining.
I mean, Viva Las Vegas right now, man. Because obviously there was a mass shooting there. I mean, rest in peace, all those who died. But you kind of get some standout tracks from this album, I think, even more so than any of the other albums that I mentioned.
Yeah. Of course, I gotta mention Holiday in Cambodia because it's another entertaining one.
Yes, that's what I was talking about. That's one of my favorite songs. Even I think Sepultura covered that.
Did they?
They are. I know Max Cavalera's covered it live.
I don't really see the point of covering a Dead Kennedys song. Like, Dead Kennedys have so much character, you shouldn't be messing around with
Well, what he did was he mixed Holiday in Cambodia with Biotech and Godzilla. It was really interesting. But I don't know. I do like the original, but I thought Max Cavalera did a really good job live.
Yeah.
With that cover. But I think that's our list.
Yeah, we are ready to wrap it up. I think next week is going to be the last Mad Max episode because we got bored, got halfway through, and we were like, we're done. That is the end of the game.
We've kind of wasted too much time on that. I think.
Yeah.
We spent too much time.
But you guys can get an idea of what the game's like.
That's right.
Buy it and then buy some death metal to listen to while you play it. Right?
That's right. I think that's fitting.
And then the next music episode is going to be a rundown of all the Arch Enemy albums, starting from the first one all the way through this year's album. And it should be fun. Same deal we did with Ailstorm, but a little bit more extreme this time, right?
Yeah. Arch Enemy is a melodic death metal band, so you're going to be seeing a little bit more extremity with Arch Enemy.
Yeah, I don't know. How well known are Arch Enemy? I never figured that out.
They're kind of up there.
Are they like as well known as like At the Gates or something like that? Or are they?
I don't think so.
They're kind of below that.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're more accessible than some of the other bands.
I agree, actually. I definitely agree. I think Arch Enemy is kind of more accessible than, in my view, a lot of death metal bands.
Yeah. Well, first of all, you can understand the lyrics.
Yeah, kind of.
Which is a plus.
That's one of the things I like about melodic death metal.
You can actually hear the lyrics.
Yeah.
Like, what's the
And
point of
you'll-
lyrics if we can't understand them?
That's right. And you'll be hearing more about us talk about Arch Enemy when that episode comes.
Yeah, next week. Well, then 2 weeks, actually.
Yeah, I think next week we're releasing the 3rd episode of Mad Max. I'm pretty sure.
Well, 3rd next week for us. Next week for them is 4th episode.
I can't remember anything. I'm sorry, everyone.
See the
Please
magic,
forgive
the
me.
magic of filmmaking here, or
Yeah, it's-
audio making, or whatever.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, we're gonna wrap it up. We'll see you next time. This has been me.
And
Jack?
Sean.
Yep.
And we're out.
Goodbye.